So this is what we're going to be talking today, the foundation you need to raise capital. But real quick, turning land into new housing communities, this series that we're talking about, like I realize a lot of people don't know what land development is. So here's a brief picture. There's two types of sales that you can do in land development. One is when you just find the raw land, you get it approved, and you sell the paper. So you can see here, this is a paper deal. The lots are subdivided. The city has approved it. You can just sell that piece of paper. You don't have to, you really don't have to raise a lot of money, honestly, to go and do something like that. You can just sell the paper to builders. And this is great. I'm going to show you a deal we did where we sold the paper here in a second. We made like $400,000. The second is where you take the piece of paper and you put the roads and the infrastructure and the utilities in, and you sell it to a builder. These are like your finished lots. If you can imagine creating a neighborhood without any houses in it, that's essentially what you're doing. So those are the two types: selling the entitled paper or actually selling the finished developed lots. Here's a deal we did where all we did was we just flipped the paper to a large national builder. And, we made $446,000 on the deal. So you can make a lot of money just flipping the paper. You can make a lot of more money if you actually develop it. So real quick, what did we talk about last week? Last week we covered, you've got an interested seller, you've found the right land. Now what do? We talked about how to speak to the planning staff. We talked about how to calculate the sales price of the lot, how to calculate the development costs, how to calculate your offer to the seller, how to hire an engineer and create a concept plan to get your plat approved. We talked about the studies that you're going to need. And that is what got us to this point. So if you have deal under contract, you are to the point where the numbers make sense, you're trying to get your preliminary plat approval, now it's going to be time to start laying your foundation to raise money. And the vehicle we're going to be using today is a syndication. This is the best example that I know about a syndication. You can see there's a bunch of people right here, and there's a building, and we have an airplane. So what the heck does an airplane have to do with these people in this building? Well, in an airplane, what happens is no one individual can afford to buy the whole airplane unless you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Everybody buys an individual ticket, and that allows them to get on the airplane and travel to where they need to go. So everybody is crowdfunding their money together to purchase a flight to go somewhere. And that is exactly what investors do with a syndication. The investors are pooling their money together to buy a large building of some sort. This could be doing a new community. It could be doing an apartment, land development, whatever it is. But the sponsor, aka you, is the one that puts the deal together, crowd funds from the investors, and pools their capital together to get everybody where they want to go, which is to be able to buy these buildings that no one person would be able to buy on their own. Here's the journey that every single capital raiser goes on when they start. They first start with their friends and family. Then they move on. They always run out of friends and family because your network's only so big. Then they have to move on to attracting accredited investors. This is people that they don't know, but need to get in front of, and they have money. And then finally, the fund of funds and institutions model. So after you've built your accredited investor machine, you're typically going and you've got like some deals underneath your belt. You're starting to do larger and larger stuff. Usually you need to move on from people giving you $50, $100, $200,000, and you start working with institutions that write these $10 million, minimum checks. Like there's institutions you can literally go to, and if you can't place a $10 million equity check, they don't want to talk to you. So that's the path of every capital raiser. And next week, we're going to talk about friends and family specifically, what to do, what to say, how to approach them after we talk about building the foundation. But real quick, if you want, text your email to 901-596-6425. Forgot to delete this right here. We're going to give you your free guide. This is from a SEC attorney, Mauricio, 5 things every syndicator must know to stay out of jail. text or email to this phone number. Then the last giveaway we gave away last week, some of the emails didn't go through. I don't know why. So if you just send your email to this phone number, that way it doesn't end up in spam. We know we got it. Take a picture of this. We'll make sure that you get this free resource guide. But that is the biggest thing, is you want to be able to stay out of jail, because there are laws around raising capital and you do not want to break the. All right. We're going to be talking about 506B syndication. So there's different vehicles depending on who you're raising money from. And this is straight out of the Regulation D from the SEC. 506B means, in order to raise capital, if you set up a 506B syndication, you have to have an existing relationship, aka 506B means you're going to go raise from friends and family, people that you have an existing relationship. They don't have to be an accredited investor. We'll talk about what that means here in a minute, but they must have some kind of experience investing, technically be a sophisticated investor. So if the SEC audits you, if you have a deal that goes bad, or the SEC audits you for whatever reason, someone calls them, and you can't explain how you've proven that this person is a sophisticated investor, aka if you have not hopped on a call with them and asked about their past investment experience, that's going to be a problem. And then with 506B, you cannot advertise your deals, the returns. So this is all just word of mouth. You can't post the deal online. You can't advertise it. You can only raise it from friends and family. Now, a 506C syndication, they must be accredited investors. You can check out what these qualifications are on Google. I believe they've got to have $200,000 of provable income the last 2 years and reasonably expect to make $200,000 this year if they're filing separate. And they've got to have or they have to have a minimum net worth of like $1 million. And there's third-party companies you can use to verify this stuff, but know that you can advertise. If you set up a 506C syndication, that means you're going after accredited investors. It can be friends and family, but you have to prove their accreditation status. Yeah, they have to verify their income or verify their net worth. They've got to be worth, I believe, $1 million without their primary residence. But the cool thing with 506C is you can advertise. So you can put ads out there and try to aggregate investors together. All right, so that's some of the basics on raising money. Let's talk about building our foundation. Here are the psychological hurdles that you've got to overcome in order to get people to give you money. And you're not going to be surprised here. They got to get you to know, like, and trust you, and you got to create scarcity. So who'd have thunk? I got to get people to know, like, and trust me. This is why most people already start out with friends and family, because friends and family know you and they like you. And so really the only hurdle you got to overcome is getting them to trust you, or getting them to trust you with their money. So we're going to be talking about the trust thing here in a little bit. And then there's this create scarcity that's important as well. So getting people to know you. Again, we're laying a foundation here before we're reaching out to people. Because I don't know about you, it's a lot easier when people reach out to me and want to give me money than when I have to reach out to them. The goal is to go where the eyeballs are. No surprise, Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasts. People need to know who you are and what you do. And the best way to do that is to go where the eyeballs are. If people don't know that you have a deal or the types of deals that you do, then they're not going to invest with you. So let's talk about how to get people to like you. Oh, coffee's delicious. Number one is you need to tell your story. 2, you need to have videos of you so that they can get to know you. And 3, you need to have a personal website. Let's talk about those 3. Again, we're trying to get people to know, like, and trust us. And the first step is getting people to like us. So let's talk about how to do that. Telling your story. There's a really great book called Story Brand by Donald Miller. I think everybody should read this book. And it talks about how to tell your story in a way that allows the audience to connect with you. Now, when I was telling my story earlier, you might have felt a little bit of connection to me when I got fired, when I lost my sense of identity. You know, that is part of the Story Brand framework. This is something that's designed to capture attention, entertain, and get people to connect. You've probably heard of this before. It's famous in Hollywood. Every great Hollywood movie pretty much uses this exact framework. You might have a character like Simba from The Lion King who has a problem. He thought he killed Mufasa, right? Scar tells him that, he's the one that killed Mufasa, and he runs away. And then he meets a guide, the monkey, who gives them a plan and says, you need to go and fulfill your rightful place to king, calls them to action to go back and take away his throne from Scar because he is the rightful king. And then there's a battle, and eventually it ends in the success. He becomes, king, and everything's great. Frodo in Lord of the Rings, he's got a problem. He's got this ring. He's got to go destroy it, or Sauron is gonna kill Middle Earth. And he meets a guide, Gandalf, who gives him a plan. Hey, take the Fellowship, take these people with you, the elf and the dwarf, and go to Mount Doom and throw the ring away. And then that ends in them, success. So this story that they follow is very powerful, and you can do it too. So you don't have to be a Hollywood actor or fairy tale to do this. I do this in my story. If you go to my LinkedIn or go literally listen to any of my podcasts, I tell my story, and this is what gets people to connect with me, gets people to like me. Second way of getting people to like you are videos of you. So I have a YouTube channel. This is where people can go and they can hear me speak. They can actually see me. And this is where they start to build a relationship with me without having to actually hop on a call. So you need to have some kind of platform where people can get to know you without having to hop on a call with you. So anywhere where you can do videos on a YouTube channel or Vimeo or podcast, anything on your social media, just put videos on your social media of you in your everyday life. People are wanting that raw content. Share your failures. Successes are great, but what people really want is the authentic you. And the more vulnerable you can be about your failures and your successes and what you're learning, the better off you're going to be at getting people to like you, because nobody connects to somebody that just drives Lamborghinis all the time and they have this amazing life, right? It's just it's fraud. Like, that's not really their life. So having videos of you online is a great way to get people to understand who they are. Big thing we're going to be doing is becoming Googleable. So I would encourage everybody to go Google their name and see what pops up. Because if you're raising money, I can promise you the people that are considering giving you money are Googling you, and you need to see what pops up. So I highly recommend everybody go get their own personal website. Mine is thebrandoncobb.com, and have something that shows up when they Google you. My website has as soon as they go to this website, this video pops up. It's like a 2-minute about me. And then they can click all this stuff about me, see my ebook, see my podcast, my social media, my educational resources. It's a way of me verifying that, hey, I am somebody on the internet. I exist, and this is what I'm doing. So that's a really easy thing you can do, is just grab your personal website. All right. So we talked about getting people to know you. We talked about how to get people to like you, right? Now, here's how to get people to trust you. And this is the big part that entry-level capital raisers just starting their journey really need to focus on. Because if you're raising from friends and family, chances are they already know you and they already like you. But do they trust you? The 3 ways to get somebody to trust you is you need to establish authority, you need to show them social proof, and we talked about this, you need to make yourself Googleable. So let's get into the authority part. There's a picture of a patient and a doctor here. When was the last time you went to a doctor? Let's say you take your kid to the doctor and your kid is sick, and the doctor checks him out, looks at little Johnny and Susie's runny nose, looks at their throat, looks in their ear, and prescribes them a medication and explains why you need to do it. When was the last time you told the doctor, you're wrong, this is bad, I'm not giving my child this? Probably close to never, because the doctor has authority. You instantly trust this doctor because of his status in the frame that's at hand. And the frame is He is the expert on the subject, and whatever he recommends to your kid, you're going to do. So we're going to be talking about how to create this authority where you can have the doctor effect on the potential investors that you're raising money from. And the three big ways to do that is having a podcast, having a YouTube channel, and then having a company website. Let's talk about the podcast. Now, this is a great way that people use to find me when they're talking about investing in real estate. We have a show called Recession Resistant Real Estate Radio. People find it, they listen to it, and then they reach out to me. But the big trend I want you guys to pay attention to is how attention has moved over the years. Attention has moved away from the TV to the YouTube channel. It's moved away from the radio to the podcast. It's moved away from newspapers to your computer. And so there's this shift to online media where everything is becoming digital. Those are where the eyeballs are going. And if you're going to be successful raising money, you need to be able to go where the eyeballs are. And so a big part of your success is having a podcast that talks about the particular subjects that your target avatar, or your friends and family, or these accredited investors are interested in. Because when they're Googling you, and they find your podcast and they see that you got, even if it's 20, 30 episodes on a particular subject, you instantly have the doctor effect on them. They trust that you have an authority. Brandon's got a show. I mean, he talks about this. This is what he does for a living. That's a big part about getting your friends and family to shift their perspective away from you and your old identity to you and your new identity. For Brandon, this helped shift friends and family's perspective of him as being the medical device sales rep to Brandon, the capital raiser, the real estate guru. I hope everybody took that down, because if your friends and family see you in your old identity, whatever that is, they're going to be much less likely to give you money. You have to shift your identity or their perspective of your identity in order to get them to raise money. And a podcast is a very powerful tool to do that, because you're talking about the particular subject that you're the authority figure on, in this case, aka real estate. Next is your website. Now, this seems like a no-brainer. I'm going to share with you a couple things that you need to have on the website here, but you got to have a company website. And here's a little hack with the website. For $300, you can go to Fiverr and you get a website built. Here's the hack, though, that's going to save you, I swear, 20 or 30 hours of customly building out a website. This is what I did. I went and found someone's website that I really liked, and I told the Fiverr guy, I said, I want to copy and paste his website, but here's my information and my colors. I want to copy and paste this person's website, but here's all of my information, my logos and colors. So this website that I've got, yes, I've tweaked it a little bit, but it's literally just been taken from someone else. And I just put all of my company's information in there and my videos and my scripts. And I literally had a website in like 3 days. And you can do the exact same thing. But let's talk about what the number one goal of a website is, which a lot of people miss. A website has one function and one function only, and that is to get their phone number or email. And email is a better choice because people are much less likely to give their phone number away. That is the only reason you want a website. And most websites miss the big point. You need a lead magnet. What is a lead magnet? It is a magnet that attracts leads. Leads are investors. We give away an ebook, 100 questions business owners ask before investing. It's a free ebook, and I talk about how, are you ready to learn how to avoid an investment nightmare? Get your free ebook. So I give something away for free in exchange for their email. That is the only goal of an email, or I'm sorry, of a website, is to capture their information. Then I talk about some of the highlights right here. What does it look like working with us? And then we've got the how we change lives and about us section. So again, there's videos of me on the website, because people don't invest in deals. They invest in you. They're betting on the jockey and not necessarily the horse. And so, I'll tell you a story. My partners came to me one day and they said, Brandon, We notice that you're building HBG around you. Like you are the personal brand for capital raising. We need the brand to be built around the company, the logo. And I say, guys, nobody invests in a company or a logo. They invest in the person. This whole strategy around raising capital, it's all built around you. That's what people invest in. Nobody cares about Cardone Capital. They're investing with Grant Cardone, the person. So when you're building your brand, you need to make sure that you are all over the place and not pictures of, just pictures of your stuff. People want to invest with people. They don't want to invest with companies. All right, let's talk about the second part of creating authority, social proof. Here are the important things you need in your social proof. And again, this is really how we build trust. To build trust and get people to build us money, we have to establish ourselves as an authority figure. Before and after photos of the projects are very powerful. Having investor testimonials. And if you're just starting out and you've never raised any money before, that's fine. You're not going to have a testimonial, but try to get a testimonial as quick as possible. But you can get testimonials of people that you've done business with. So any of your vendors that have worked with you, get them to give a testimonial about your character or working with you. Any of your customers that you have, get them to talk about working with you. So you can get testimonials from people talking about you. It doesn't necessarily have to be people who've invested money with you. And then three, if anybody follows me on social media, I post all the time people getting their money back. I post pictures of the wires. I black out their name, but I post pictures of the payoff statements. I like to show that, hey, we're giving people their money back. Here's an example of a before and after picture that I've plastered all over social media. Up here in the top left, here's a blank piece of ground with no neighborhood. In the bottom right, there's a bunch of houses. Pretty cool, right? So if someone's considering giving me money and I show them this, they're probably pretty sold that I can do the thing that I'm telling them that I can do, right? This is proof in the pudding right here. Here's somebody that reached out to me on LinkedIn. So you can kind of see, hey, Brandon, I like your content and want to plan for future capital investments. I booked a call with this person, and I actively raise money on LinkedIn every single day. We're going to be talking about this more in attracting endless accredited investors in our upcoming, I think not next week, but the week after. We're going to talk about how to raise from accredited investors. But I post this as well. I show that people are reaching out to me and that we're actively booking calls with people from social media. Because if people are on social media and they see people reaching out to me on social media about investing, they're like, oh, maybe I should reach out to Brandon too. So this is a very powerful, very, very powerful piece of social proof that you can put on there. What's another piece that you can put? Case studies. So, hey, here's a project that we did. We bought it for $700,000. We put $3.6 million into it. We paid investors $912,000 out. We had taxes and impact fees. We sold it for 6.6. We made $829,000 after the investors made $912,000. Like, it's an actual project that I can show them that we did. Hey, here's how much money we raised that we need. So case studies about your projects are going to be very important to the success of your capital raising efforts. And that's what I've got for today. So go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. We'll go ahead and we'll start answering those. Before we get to questions, there's been a lot of people asking me about, hey, do y'all have any more information on this that I can use? Or are y'all going to do any kind of coaching or stuff like that? We are actually going to create a land development mastermind for people who want to learn how to turn raw land into new housing communities. And there's going to be three parts to this. One is the land development accelerator program. The second is the capital raising machine. And the third is the actual mastermind community. So this is, we're building this out. This is a monster. It's got live videos from actual projects. I mean, there's so much content that's packed into this. It's not ready to go yet, but we are going to be launching this. So if you're interested or want to get on the wait list, just send an email to info@hbgcapital.net. The Land Development Accelerator Program, it's going to have all of our business systems and processes, our land acquisition blueprint. It's going to have the actual land sales training, which that was one of the biggest things that we paid for, was how to go and like sell this stuff or get people to hop on the call with us and actually convert them and meet with us. We're gonna have the entitlement rezone blueprint. We're gonna have a whole guide on how to manage the civil engineer. There's a whole guide on how to structure your deal, and you're gonna get all of our contracts and docs needed. There's a capital raising part of it. I call it the capital raising machine. We're gonna give the compliance guide away. Foundations, deep dive training. So we talked about foundations today, but here in 45 minutes, I can't go over everything that there is about building a solid foundation. If you do what you did today, you'll have no problem raising money. But if you want to raise like tens of millions of dollars and not just a couple million, you're going to have to get really good at like telling your story. We teach how to do that. We've got like a step-by-step guide on like how to tell your story. We've got a step-by-step guide on how to start a podcast, the equipment you need. We also have a list of podcasts that you can reach out to and get on. All you got to do is go send an email to them and they'll book you on the show. I've literally been on over 200 podcasts and I have all of them down there. So we're going to go away that list. We're going to have a CRM. So showing how you can actually move your investors through your funnel to funded. And it's all automated, which is the cool part. There's going to be two kind of guides in here. And again, we're going to be talking about this and scratching the surface next week, but I have a whole course built around specifically how to raise money from friends and family. And then a whole guide on how to attract endless accredited investors once you run out of friends and family. We have our whole sales process that we use with investors. So exactly like the questions we ask to get them on a call, how we reach out, how we close them and actually get them to give us the money. We're going to be talking about how to structure your fund and syndication the right way. And, we've got a guide for keeping your investors for life, because once you've got them, you keep them. And then finally, we're going to have a mastermind community where every week we hop on the call with people who are raising money, people who have land deals that they're trying to turn into, new housing communities and get sold. We'll meet every single week. We'll do Q&A. We'll teach something. There's going to be 24/7 access to our online community that we've got. So, it's the value here is what I'm excited about is creating the community, because while I've got answers, I promise you that there's somebody out there that's doing something better than I am, and they'll be able to share what's working really well for them, and everybody's going to get access to that. Everybody's going to be contributing like what's working really well in their business, and like I can tell you, for me, I'm going to get a ton of value from that. We've got weekly non-negotiable tasks. There's going to be implementation support, and then everyone's going to get access to our internal systems. I think like what I really want to do with this, I think I'm going to have like members of our team get up and actually teach some of this stuff. So our lead development manager, who like is showing up to the projects every day, I'm going to have him on the call where people can talk to him and he can kind of teach what he does. I'm going to have our controller on a call where he teaches, hey, how do he manages the finances, how he manages the cash flow of the business. So our whole people are going to get access to our internal team here on these calls. So this is going to be cool. I'm excited about it. We don't have pricing or anything, stuff like that yet. Right now, we just want to deliver a lot of value. And I know people have been asking about that. And so if you're interested, you can send an email to info@hbgcapital.net. We'll put you on the wait list and we'll let you know when this thing goes live. And with that, I'll get to some questions here. Now, my presentation is in full screen mode. Terry, do you want to read off some of the questions that people had? Because I can't see the chat right now.
Yes, I will do that. Second.
And I think you got a little bit of an echo, but you sound all right.
We got two laptops going on here in the office. Okay, there we go. Thank you guys. So look, how powerful and necessary is LinkedIn? Is it worth it to build that network?
If you've run out of your friends and family, extremely powerful. It's the best platform for raising money. So I've been a part of many communities of people who, like, I've got people I call, they've raised like $100 million. And those are the guys that I'm learning from, right? Because I'm never going to stop being a student. And everybody is using LinkedIn that is attracting accredited investors. When you move past friends and family and on to, hey, I've run out of my own network. I need to figure out a way to attract accredited investors. LinkedIn is the best platform for doing that. I use two mainly. I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook. Both work. I have more success with LinkedIn because I can start more conversations with people that don't know me. Whereas Facebook, it's really friends and family, and they're not as interested in my content if it's not like they want to see pictures of my new baby. They don't want to see a post on, how to like, turn land into new housing communities. Facebook is more personal about your personal life, and it's more friends and family, where LinkedIn it has a little bit more of a professional vibe to it, right? You are on there, either you get your resume on there. People are usually on LinkedIn because they're looking for information, right? Accredited investors are actively looking at people who put content out, teaches them the things that they would want to know to make an investment decision. So LinkedIn is huge. I literally, one of the things that I'm going to actually post in this mastermind community is our LinkedIn blueprint, like how, like our exact strategy on how we're using LinkedIn to attract accredited investors. And I actually have Dean, my assistant, she is putting, I think she's got like 10 conversations picked out that we're going to put in there that show exactly how we got them from cold lead on LinkedIn to booking a call with us to them giving us money. So you can see in real time the actual conversations that we're having on LinkedIn to get them to give us money. It's pretty stinking cool. I've spent a lot of money on LinkedIn training courses so that you don't have to.
Okay, as someone that works in let's see, that's Chris. Hold on, wait, sorry, this thing is moving fast. Christy Gonzalez, hello. As someone that works in corp still, I find myself looking up people often in oh, I thought that was a question. Where can I access the recordings of last Wednesday? So they went out in the email reminder. So if you did get that, you will have it, but make sure you guys are in the pipeline. So send your emails to info at hbgcapital.net so that we have your email. You can also email me and I'll send you a link specifically for last week. So that is in the chat. That's Tara at hbgcapital.net. Any more questions? I know
Oh,
y'all.
yeah. If you're not on our list, we send out the previous week presentation to whoever's registered. So if you're registered for this event, then you should automatically get the presentation when it goes out.
Okay, Brandon, we got another one. What are your thoughts on creating personal website when you are under a brokerage? Where are we focused? Where we are focused on land sales, etc.
Yeah. So if you are under a brokerage, I mean, that's not a problem. You've got a capital raising company, right? Like that's a different company that you're using to purchase real estate or syndicate funds from investors. So it's completely different than what your brokerage business is, as far as I'm concerned. Two completely different things. Just because and I've heard this before from like real estate agents, just because you're a real estate agent doesn't mean that you're not allowed to go and buy land from people. Like there's this whole idea as a real estate agent. It's like, I got to do whatever's best for like the client. No, you can actually disclose to them that you're a real estate agent, that you work for a brokerage and you're representing yourself, and you can go and negotiate good deals for yourself. There's nowhere that says that just because you're a real estate agent, you're not allowed to buy really good real estate deals or do these things. It's not a thing. I don't know why some agents have a problem doing that, but you 100% should have a personal website that is for your other company, your capital raising company. It's separate from your brokerage business. Did that answer your question? I want to make sure that we covered our bases there. I'm assuming she's a real estate agent and not like a capital broker, because there are brokers that broker money for usually larger deals. So I want to make sure that I got the right broker term there for her.
Nice. Eddie Arojo says, can you only raise money from individuals or can you combine with entities, businesses?
You can raise money from whoever you want to. It does not matter. Most of our investors actually use their retirement accounts to invest. It's a little trick. So, one of the things that we teach in this community that we're going to create, that's part of the course, when I'm on a call with a potential investor, one of the questions I ask them is, have you invested using a self-directed account before? And if the investor is no, I instantly know that I can show them money that they have already that they did not know they can invest. I've raised millions of dollars just from calls where I ask this simple question and they go, yeah, I've got an old 401k from a previous employer, or yeah, I've got an IRA account, or yeah, I've got a Roth account. Why? And we show them how they can transition that money to a self-directed IRA or a self-directed Roth. And again, it gets all the benefits, but they can use those funds to invest in real estate. There's third-party companies called custodians that take care of this process for them. And we've got a third party company that we recommend. But I can't tell you how much like I literally, in the course, I actually think I have a section where this woman gave me $500,000 because I did a podcast episode talking about this exact concept. And I invited on the podcast the custodian company that we refer people to when they want to set up these self-directed accounts and transfer their current retirement accounts to a self-directed account. And she loved the content so much that she literally gave me $500,000 because she converted it over, and she wouldn't have been able to do that had she not watched our podcast episode. So that was pretty cool, getting an email from someone that I'd never met saying, I have $500,000. I want to give it to you. And I actually show that email in the course. It's pretty cool. So you can raise from money, businesses. Most people don't invest using their name. They invest using some kind of business. From what I have found. Now, again, we work with a lot of business owners, so like that's our target avatar. And when we get to the accredited investor presentation in 2 weeks, like how to raise money from accredited investors, we talk about this concept called your target avatar and how to create that. And our target avatar are seven-figure business owners. So you'll see a lot of content we put out is geared towards seven-figure business owners. And because of that, they tend to use a lot of LLCs or retirement accounts. If you're raising from friends and family, it's a pretty good chance they'll probably be using their name, their personal name, if I had to guess. But the answer is you can raise money from individuals or businesses or entities. It does not matter.
All right, we got another one from Eddie. What's the lowest and max amount of money you can raise from an individual person?
I've had people give me as little as $50,000. That's kind of our minimum. And I think the biggest check I ever got was about 5 million. So it doesn't really matter.
So there's no like law against, how much you can raise it. They have to have a business entity in order to give you $20 million.
Right. So let's talk about laws. Always consult an attorney. So I gave away the guide, how to stay compliant. It's all about setting up your 506B or 506C correctly. So those are the two vehicles that you're going to do. If you're starting with friends and family, it's going to be 506B. And if you're starting, or if you're, move on to accredited investors or people you don't know, it's going to be a 506C. It's as long as you're set up correctly, those are going to be your guide to compliancy. Now, I say that once you get past $50 million, the laws do tend to change a little bit. And you have to make sure you're consulting an attorney to make sure that you're set up correctly. So if someone wants to give you, 50 million bucks, once you get to that point, yes, the laws are going to change a little bit. And that's why having a good attorney that you can consult with is super important. I think that answers his question right there.
Okay, I have a question. What are some like downfalls or cons or pros in having a large pool of investors as opposed to one investor or two investors?
Yeah, so I recommend to diversify because having a large investor is great. We have a few investors that write multiple seven-figure checks, and I love it, but I'm not dependent on it because if they disappear, you disappear. That's the problem. These investors aren't going to give you money forever, right? So keep that in mind. They're eventually going to want to retire or downsize, or maybe they find a better investment opportunity. I don't know. That's why I have a section in our course that talks about how to keep your investors, because I've spent a lot of time getting investors, and I realized that you have to have a process set up to keep your investors once you have them. And so we teach how to do that. But you want to have a lot of different um, people. The more the better, because you're diversified at that point. Even the guys that raise from institutions that write these 10, $15 million checks, they still have to have the mom and pop investors, the 50, 100,000, $200,000 investors that they can go to because they have to still bring money to the table with these institutions that are writing these $10 million checks. So you want to have as many investors as humanly possible. You run a huge risk if you've got one or two investors that are funding everything, because as soon as you grow your business and it's dependent on them and you remove them, you're literally out of business overnight.
Okay. Here's another one from Eddie. Would you just hire a general real estate attorney, or would there be a specific type of attorney to set this up?
Yeah, so there's a specific type of attorney. You can't hire a general attorney. They have to be familiar with the capital raising process. In our course, we uh we recommend specific attorneys. Like, I show who we use, but somebody that, like, this is a really good ebook. You can reach it out to Mauricio. He does this. I've never worked with him, so I can't, vouch for him. I just really like his ebook, and it's very relative to what we're talking about today, because this ebook is about raising from friends and family, which is what I think most of the people are gonna do. So this is a really good ebook, and I'm giving away his ebook. So again, text your email to my phone number, and I'll make sure you get it so you don't end up in spam. But you could reach out to this guy. He sets up these funds and syndications for a living. So he would be a really good resource off this presentation. Now, what we're going to have in the community here that I think is a huge value is recommendations for attorneys. It's going to be part of the capital raising machine. There's literally so much information. I can't put it all in here that we're going to have in these courses. Let me give you a quick example. So if you go out and you go out shopping, you're probably going to find that you're going to get charged 20, 25, $30,000 to set up a syndication or a fund from an attorney. I've got attorneys that'll do it for half the cost, because I've literally spent over six figures figuring out the good attorneys from the bad attorneys. And some attorneys just want your money and they're extremely expensive. And after you give them your money and they give you what you want, they're not available to answer any of your questions. And it's very frustrating. I know who to reach out to and who are the good attorneys and the bad attorneys. And I know the ones that'll do it for $15,000 and get you all set up, as opposed to $30,000. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be offering.
Nice. Okay. How do we set it up correctly? If someone offers, oh, this one's from PG. Sorry. If someone offers to lend me 1 million, do I need to run to my attorney immediately, or is it once I have many investors who are investing?
Yeah, so you can't take any money until you are set up, right? That's what the SEC wants to see. They want to make sure that you're compliant. So our process is this: once we get the deal past a certain stage, we then start raising money. So when one of our land deals, one of our neighborhoods is towards the end, where we've got our civil drawings approved, we have a budget, we've got the buyer lined up. At that point, we go and we start raising money because we know how much money we need. We have it under contract. We have a deal. We can actually pitch to investors. We go, we pay the attorneys, we get our 506B or 506C set up, and that's when we start raising money.
Awesome. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Awesome. Really good questions today. And dude, we're like right on time. Look at that. 10 o'clock on the dot. All right. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, thanks for showing out today. Again, this is part of our Turning Land into New Housing Community series. So I'm going to scroll back like next week. Here's what you can expect to see. We're going to be going over how to raise money from friends and family. So today we covered the foundations that you need. So if you start doing some of this stuff today, it is going to make your life a lot easier when you actually start reaching out to people. So next week, this is the fun stuff. This is where we talk about how to reach out to people without sounding needy, how to get them, how to have them give us permission to reach out to them. I'm going to be talking about the email templates that we actually use when we have a deal that gets people across the finish line. We talked about the need to create scarcity today. I'm going to show you how we do that. So next week is going to be a lot of fun. We're actually going to get into the nitty gritty on things. And then the following week, we're going to be talking about how to raise capital from accredited investors. So check out that email. Again, if you're interested in learning more about the community, text to email or email to my phone number. And with that, we'll end the presentation. Thanks for coming out today.